Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on July the 8th, 2020. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. In terms of the data, there was nothing major today. Now, coming up here, we do have data here for yen, so that could have an impact on our yen crosses, so watch out for that. And then we also have EU economic forecast here, so anytime so this will have an impact on our euro, so keep that in mind here. Crude oil inventories, but nothing major in terms of what we have coming out tomorrow in terms of news on Wednesday. Business confidence numbers in the evening, so fairly light in terms of our data here. So let's go on to the charts here. Okay, so actually before we jump into the charts, one thing to keep in mind is today or now, just overall, we are seeing an increase in number of COVID cases. We are seeing that parts of Australia are going back into lockdown. New Zealand is talking about delaying stuff. We have seen a growing increase in the coronavirus cases in the US. So overall, the situation seems to be deteriorating a bit. So today was the first day in several days, and almost a week here, that we have seen a negative close in the stock market. So the stock market has been going up for a number of days and a number of months here, but today was the first day we actually saw over the last little while here that we have seen a negative or a drop in the stock market. So that does not mean that we are into risk off mode just yet, but this may be an interesting development which could have an impact on our trading. So I suggest keeping an eye on that. So having said that, if the stock market drops or continues to drop, we are likely to see a drop in dollar crosses and yen crosses and Swiss franc crosses potentially. So let's go on to the charts now. Euro dollar here still trading in this range. This has been stuck in this range for weeks now, and we saw price came into the support, bounced off, now went into the resistance, and it has come back down now. So this is bearish based on that. And so now that we are seeing a rejection, this is a range-bound move. Essentially, we're looking for a move back towards the bottom of the range here. Now, another thing to keep in mind here around euro and pound would be the start of Brexit negotiations. So any kind of comments that are positive in regards to, that they are moving towards an agreement or anything like that will be positive for British pound. And depending on, well, we're not, at this point, there will be no agreements reached, but any kind of positive comments can lead to British pound going up or euro going up. So just watch out for that. But anyways, so right now, based on just the technicals here, bias is bearish. And we're looking at first target would be 1.1250. And then should price continue to drop beyond that, we have 1.1220 and then potentially back into 1.1180. So bias is bearish here for euro dollar. Pound dollar here, this one did break out of the range, but as we can see here, price is into resistance. So we could see, actually that's too much. It's into resistance right into this support resistance level right here. So in that case, and we also have seen a bit of a reversal pattern forming. So I am neutral on this, not exactly bearish. But if you take a look at the 1 hour here, so in this case, one thing that we have to watch out for here will be this support and resistance level here around 1.2520. So in this case, price has been dropping for a bit, but if it doesn't break through this support level, it can go back up. So I'm neutral on this. So we just have to keep an eye on this one here. If it doesn't break below the daily pivot point, which is at 1.2527-ish level in this case, if it doesn't drop, it's likely to go back up. But then we also have this move up today, which could get filled. So we may see price come back into the support. So at this point, I'm neutral. We'll see what happens into the daily pivot and then take it from there. So neutral bias here for pound dollar. Aussie dollar here, this one is looking bearish. We see a similar behavior here that we have seen in euro. Price went into the resistance, rejected that, and now we have seen a bearish candle close. But keep in mind, price is into support here. So if it does not break the level, so this is where as we can see, prices reacted at this level several times. So if it doesn't break, it can go back up. So watch out for that. But bearish bias here, next target is 0.6880. And then beyond that, 0.6830. So that's looking bearish. New Zealand dollar here, this is neutral at the moment. And we see that price went into the resistance here and has bounced off of that. So we may see a further move to the downside in this one as well. But we will have to be careful. We'll have to keep an eye on this. In terms of our target, first target will be just the base of today's move here towards 0.6520-ish level. And then finally, we can look for a further move to the downside, 0.6480 approximately. So bearish, sorry, neutral to slightly bearish bias here for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, we have a bullish engulfing candle here. Now price is into resistance, so do be careful because if it doesn't go through, or it's close to resistance, if it doesn't go through 1.3620, it could turn. But based on the technicals here, bias is bullish. Next target here is 1.3665, and then beyond that, 1.3700. So bullish bias for dollar CAD. Let's take a look at our commodities. Starting off with silver here, we have seen price go in both directions here. And in this case, as we see, it's still holding there. So it's holding or hanging out closer to the resistance here. So once we see a break, I will look for a further move to the upside here. For the time being though, this is bullish to neutral. So we haven't seen the break yet. And if it does not break, then it's very likely that we could see a turnaround. So keep that in mind. So for now, bias is neutral. If it does manage to break through the resistance and hold, then we're looking at 18.50, 18.65. But if it doesn't, then I'm looking for a move back towards 17.95. So for now, neutral bias here for silver. Gold here, gold had a big move to the upside. This is looking bullish. And in this case, I will look for a pullback into 1790 and then a further move to the upside here. So it's looking bullish. It has broken out of this resistance that it had been struggling with. Now, having said that, though, only precaution or a word of caution here would be this move here is very inefficient looking move. So if it holds above 1792, if it's holding above, then chances are we are going higher. But should it break through here, next target here would be our daily pivot point and potentially a little bit lower into 1785. So for now, I would say bullish bias with caution though. Oil here, oil hasn't done anything in the last several days here. It's still holding below the high of the range, which means we're likely to see a drop here. So bias here is neutral, and first target here is 39, then 37. Copper here, copper has moved in both directions. It is hanging into the high here. It's holding towards the high. So we could see a break, so watch out for that. But for now, I am neutral on this. This is not a strong bullish candle, but it's not bearish either. So for now, neutral here. If it breaks the resistance at 2.76, then we're likely to see it go higher. Otherwise, I will look for it to turn around. Bitcoin here, Bitcoin is still sticking in that very narrow range here. As we can see, price has been trading in this little range for a number of days here. So today's candle close is bearish. And in this case, as long as it holds below 93.20 level, then I will look for a move back down towards the bottom of the range, which is at 88.70. So bias here is neutral to bearish for Bitcoin. All right, so the stock market here, this is the first time in a number of days that we have seen a bearish close. So we are not back into risk off just yet. And in this case, basically bias is bearish. The caveat, of course, will be that we have to see price drop. If it doesn't break through the support here, then it could go back up. But bearish bias, next target is 3,100, and then below that, 30.70. So bias is bearish here for S&P 500. Nasdaq here, Nasdaq also dropped today. As we can see, this is again the first day we have seen Nasdaq drop in over a week here, really. So bearish bias, but keep in mind it is into support. So if it doesn't drop here, then we are likely to see it go back up. But for now, bearish bias, 10,400 is the target. Dow Jones here, same thing. We have a nice reversal candle here. So this is looking bearish. First target is 25,500, and then we are looking at 25,265. So bias here is bearish for Dow Jones. DAX as well dropped, a nice bearish candle close for the day here, and looking for a further drop. 12,400 is the first target, and then 12,200 is the second target. So bearish bias here for DAX. FTSE, same thing here, nice bearish candle close. So looking for price to go into the bottom of the range here at 60.80. So FTSE is also bearish. And then we have Nikkei. Nikkei is looking bearish as well. In this case, we are likely to see a pullback towards 22,500. And then if it holds below, I will look for a drop. So bearish bias here. In terms of the target, first we're looking at 22,250. And then below that, we're looking at 22,000. So bearish bias here for Nikkei as well. So that brings me to the end of our analysis today. Any questions?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Oh, that's good. Yep. Thanks very much.
Awesome. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yep. Have a good night, y'all.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, you have a good one, Aaron.